What are some really dangerous things most people don't realize are dangerous? A few inches of moving water over a roadway. Totally agree. But both moving water and still water on the road can be very dangerous. When teaching my oldest to drive, I made sure he understood never to drive through water on the roadway if it could possibly, safely, be avoided. You never know how deep it could be, and water can absolutely pick your whole car up and send you off in unintended directions quite suddenly, at the same speed you were traveling. Having done both, I would 100% prefer to drive through an all-out blizzard than through a torrential downpour. Agree that water is more dangerous than people think, but still I gotta put a blizzard above a downpour on my no list. One gust of wind in a blizzard, and you could be less than a foot visibility. Your car can be entrenched in snow. You can lose traction at much slower speeds. And the real threat is immobilization, if the weather is below freezing. Also in the same sense that small amounts of water in the road surface can sneak up on you and cause accidents. Black ice and snowdrifts are insanely sketchy. I've seen a snowdrift maybe 3 feet into the lane on the interstate send a semi flying into the middle ditch. Aside from heavy flooding, I would definitely take a rainstorm over a blizzard. Drove through a bomb cyclone and a 100-year flood. Fuck both scenarios. A lot of people end up with liver failure from overusing Tylenol. It's not harmless. Don't treat it like Skittles. Acetaminophen poisoning is so bad that our school gave us a SAD on OTC medications that contain it, and to always check the drug ingredients to make sure you don't consume too much. I took too much Percocet once when I had a very painful pinched nerve. I began to feel weirder than weird, in a bad way, and went to the where I was told I could have died if I'd continued to take the painkiller as I'd been doing. I did not know until then that Percocet is mostly Tylenol with just a little bit of narcotic, and it's not the narcotic that could have killed me. Reminds me of that kid that killed himself because he saw a meme about cough medicine chicken. He bought 2 bottles, cooked the chicken in it, and drank all the sauce. He had no idea what he was doing, and by the time he went to the hospital it was too late. Ab is a 15-year-old boy, presenting to the emergency room unconscious. Edit. Got to have the finger. Driving while tired. It can be just as dangerous as driving while drunk, but many people do it without thinking twice. For context, 20 hours awake impairs you as much as 0.8% back, which counts as DUI in many states. I'm a firefighter, and it's insane sometimes driving to a house fire or cardiac arrest when we haven't slept all night. Like, I can literally feel everything moving slower and it's sketchy. 48-hour shifts are wild. I have done similar things driving in the military. Sometimes I didn't trust my own eyes, and driving almost on autopilot is scary. Having to blink extra hard every few seconds. Crazy, yeah. We have ammonia ramps to wake patients up, and I've literally been smelling those prior to driving code to a fire to wake up. What also works is what we call a Frischluftwarzken fresh air slap in Bavaria, where you open the windows on both sides while driving 100 km/h, therefore getting slapped awake by the air. Garage door springs. Ours broke one night, and it sounded like a damn 12 gauge going off. Can confirm. Do not go anywhere near those things. When ours broke it sounded like a car crashing into the garage. I was in bed when mine broke, which is basically right over my garage door. Shook the bed like a small earthquake. Not having enough sodium. There's always warnings about too much salt, but apparently if you don't have enough it can throw your body totally out of whack. Learned this after passing out and ending up in the Yep. One of its most important functions, along with potassium, is maintaining electrical potential across nerve cell membranes. Without that your nerves won't work. I ended up in hospital because of what they deemed fatally low potassium levels. That sucked. Yes, the sodium and potassium work together to turn your muscles on and off. You need both to be in the right amounts for basically the same reason. A full force punch to the face. People have died from a single punch. Also just being pushed or falling on the ground. Human bodies can be very weak and very strong. but not as strong as concrete. When I was a kid, the father of a kid in my neighborhood, young guy 20s probably, was tossing a football around with some neighborhood kids. Fell and hit his head on the concrete and died of internal bleeding. A guy I used to work with was holding the ladder for his dad who had climbed up to fix something. Dad lost his balance and fell on the concrete, split his head open and died. My friend was a teenager. Talk about a horrific thing to watch. Sitting all day. I just tore my SOSBC. I sit all day and it was weak ASF. I never knew you could tear a muscle from underuse. 2 months of excruciating pain. 3 weeks of PT, and I'm finally getting better. But yay. Stretching and yoga are top priority for me now. People don't realize that not using their muscles is often the cause of their pain. I used to be a dancer, and when I stopped I had knee pain, back pain, neck pain, foot pain. I thought it was from overuse in my dancing days. And I'll admit I got super lazy at my desk job. I went to a chiropractor for years because it offered relief, but the pain would come and go. I started Aikido just a few months ago, and all that pain is just gone completely, except a bit of middle back pain, likely from the desk job. I'm confident if I keep at it the back pain will go too. It's like magic, except it's not magic. It's just using the body the way you're supposed to. Just a heads up, chiropractors are not real doctors. They can and will fuck you up for life. Have you considered talking to a physical therapist? They're the real version of chiropractors. I tell this story all the time, but it deserves to be told. When she was on her deathbed, a chiropractor gave my mom another 7 years of life because he caused a neck injury in another woman who left that chiropractor's office on a stretcher and became my mom's organ donor 2 hours later. Stay the fuck away from chiropractors. They are dangerous quacks. Tailgating at 70 miles per hour. Edit. Thank you Redditors for the overwhelming response and for the anonymous gold. To be honest, this thread moved to the left lane for passing discussion. It wasn't the goal of my response. My response is more about how a tailgater will dramatically increase the risk of an accident versus being patient and sharing the road with others. 100% of accidents are when two objects want to occupy the same space, and the logic of getting closer to the object in front of you at relatively high speed seems illogical to me. The way some people drive makes me really hate driving. I always point out bad drivers to my kids and why it's bad driving, so hopefully they are not one of them when they are older. I don't know what has happened within the last 5 to 10 years, but it definitely seems like more people are driving like assholes now. It's rare for me to see someone actually stop at a stop sign. I'd even settle for a rolling stop where the person slows down a lot, but even that is asking too much apparently, like just straight up slightly slow to sling around a turn. It's rare for me to see someone actually stop at a stop sign. I see people literally blast through them. I mean tap the brakes just slightly and then speed up. In Mississippi, the second person back at a four-way stop will often power through on the tailgate of the person whose turn it actually is. I guess they feel like, hey, I stopped, whether they were actually at the white line or not. In NJ it is extremely common at a red light for a person making a left to just gun it as soon as the light turns to beat the person going straight. It's so common that when I don't do it, the guy going straight usually just stares at me and doesn't go. Bad driving is ingrained in their head. Brazilian butt lifts. One of the most dangerous cosmetic surgeries. Please elaborate. There are major blood vessels deep in the musculature of the area, and if injecting and trying to really enhance the area, oftentimes the injection can go too deep and violate the veins. The result could be fat or fillers entering the bloodstream and then the circulatory system, potentially causing a lethal pulmonary embolism. Apostrophe. A coworker got a barrels last year in March. Flew to Florida to get it. A week and it was infected. A week after that she was in the hospital. A month after that she was released but bedridden. She ran out of FMLA time because she was so exhausted from the pain she couldn't work for months. So she was let go/quit. She just got a job last month, an entire year after having it, and she said that it was the first time she could reliably walk. She is still glad she got it. That was actually really sad to read. Gasoline. People put it in their cars every day. so they don't realize how volatile it is. YouTube is full of videos of people pouring gasoline on a campfire, or pouring it in a garbage can and sticking a match to it, only to find themselves sitting on their asses a half second later, eyebrows singed off, and flash burns on their faces and hands. If they're lucky, it's explosive. It's not like lighter fluid for your BBQ grill. Also, gasoline contains a high percentage of benzene, a known carcinogen. Like you stated, people put it in their cars every day and don't realize how much of a health hazard it actually is. The state of California knows. The state of California won't let you forget it either. This comment may cause cancer in the state of California. You didn't clearly label the Proposition 65 warning. Time to pay the fines. Eating grapefruit while on medication. Grapefruit has so many bad interactions with medication, ranging from rendering the medication ineffective to toxicity. It's so funny how grapefruit is so lethal. They were able to put a new heart inside of me with no problems. But if I ingested some grapefruit, I'd be a goner. Yup. It's a brutal interaction with tacrolimus, the most ubiquitous anti-rejection medication. I've been taking it for almost 2 years BC of a bone marrow transplant. I think people frequently drive way too close to the car in front of them. Growing up, I was always taught a car length's distance for every 10 miles per hour. And while it seems crazy, that simple rule of driving has saved my ass more times than I can count. The 3-second rule applies at all speeds. Try it. I learned the 2-second rule. It seems to line up with 1 car length per 10 miles per hour. My car's adaptive cruise can be set to 1, 3, 1, 6 or 2 seconds of following distance. My car's adaptive cruise can be set to 3 lines between, 2 lines between or 1 line between. I have no idea what a line represents, but that's the setting. Putting your feet on the dashboard. It is extremely dangerous. My physics teacher in high school had a lengthy and graphic description of exactly what occurs when you are in an accident with your feet on the dash. Absolutely horrifying. Teaching done right. I think he wrote it after seeing students driving around the lot with their feet up. He was a dual MD/PhD and was a former doctor, and I honestly have no idea why he was teaching high school physics. But he'd go on pretty wild tangents from time to time. But his description absolutely haunted us for a while. It was incredibly detailed, like a full sheet of typed paper of the chain reaction of destruction that occurs. Could you tell us what happens to someone in a crash in that situation? For the more curious minded of us. Falling down. I know there are jokes about the whole "I've fallen and I can't get up." But it's a real danger. As we get older, our bones lose density and strength. So falling can actually cause legitimate injuries. And even if you're not old, unprotected falls are still dangerous. Street fights where people get knocked out and fall onto concrete is super dangerous. It doesn't take a lot of height to cause serious damage when falling and hitting your head. Unloaded gun. It's a valuable lesson to learn that a gun is always loaded, even if you know it isn't. One negligent discharge can ruin lives. Don't even take the chance to make that mistake. This part, I don't care if I just watched you check and clear that thing. I'm still checking and clearing it once it gets into my hands. Then, I'll load it and shoot. Then check and clear it again before I hand it to a friend or set it down. Then, the next person had better check and clear it once they pick it up, or else I'm going to be angry. Check and clear. If you just checked and cleared, but forgot whether it was empty or not, check and clear again. You can check and clear a gun 1,000,000 times safely, but it only takes once time to forget it and ruin lives. Absolutely. I have some firearms that need their striker decocked before they can be disassembled. The only way to do that is by pulling the trigger, and you can be damn sure I'm very thorough about clearing it before pointing it in a safe direction and pulling that trigger, and it still unnerved me to do for a long time. As a chef, it's food. I've seen people who cook at home with some very dangerous cooking habits. Everything from not washing hands after handling raw meat, it's all raw proteins. People, not just chicken, to not cooling leftovers properly, and even proper storing procedures. Spoiler alert, don't store all chicken above the salad you plan to serve with it. Those juices can drip down and contaminate everything. Personally, I think everyone needs to take a class on proper food handling for their safety and everyone's safety for whom they plan on cooking. My wife shouts "serve safe" at me when I do something idiotic with food preparation, since she was a restaurant manager. Lol. I'm your wife apparently. Now Kith. I'm an avid skier. I was just skiing in Colorado at Loveland and it's absolutely insane to me how people will click into their skis with little idea how to actually ski and very little idea where any given run will go and just go. If you point your skis downhill and let them go on a moderate pitch, you can get up over 30 miles per hour without trying to. There are so few things that people will do at that speed without knowing exactly what they are doing. And to be clear, the people who are put in danger are not just the jerrys who don't ski within their ability level. It's also everyone else around them. I watched a fully grown man absolutely destroy a woman this past weekend because he was out of control through a trail merge. The woman never even saw him coming and had no way to protect herself. I was pretty annoyed at how the media covered this past Gwyneth Paltrow trial. I have no idea who was in the right, but it was a very serious accident that could happen to anyone. I didn't follow the trial at all, but am a lifelong skier in the Alpine Code. Despite what many people want/think, there isn't generally a clear in the right. Everyone is responsible for each other. Uphill traffic has to watch out for downhill traffic, but at the same time downhill traffic isn't supposed to block a trail in any way. This can be construed as the side-to-side skiing that beginners do. So basically everyone needs to pay attention beyond themselves and adjust their skiing based on current traffic. It's a shared responsibility. I'm a very aggressive skier and I stay as far away as I can from new to upper intermediate skiers because they are as predictable as a schizophrenic toddler on the wrong medication. I always say the most dangerous part of the mountain is the bottom of the hill. Skiers who don't know what they're doing, just stopping in the middle of runs or at crossings. People traversing entire runs before turning. Aspiring intermediates losing control and hitting people. The whole thing is so sketchy. Been skiing for nearly 40 years. Beware the bottom. You will be watching them go straight for 20 seconds. Mostly flat. No change in terrain. That will require them to turn. As soon do you get close, boom. They start swerving all over the place. Bleach. Mix with ammonia. Basically mustard gas, you died. Mix with alcohol, chloroform, you can pass out and have organ failure. Mix with vinegar, chlorine gas, you died. Bonus, mix hydrogen peroxide and vinegar, peracetic acid, your lungs bleed. Why did my brain say? Screenshot that. Noise cancelling headphones while walking in cities. You need to be able to hear your surroundings to react properly. Can easily walk into traffic or get swiped by a bike if you're tuning out the world. The newest AirPod commercial shows a woman walking through an empty city intersection with her headphones in, then shows all the chaos return when she takes one out. Not safe. It's important to be aware of your surroundings in dense areas while hiking too. Really anywhere except a focused work/study environment. Eating too many Brazil nuts, as they are very high in selenium. Eating more than 5 Brazil nuts every day could lead to selenium toxicity, which can cause hair loss, vomiting and fatigue, to name a few symptoms. I don't think it can be fatal, but still something most people probably don't realize as it is never mentioned on the packaging. Shame, as they taste so damn good. Alright, house. The pinsetters in a bowling alley. They are well over 1,000 pounds of mechanized death by steel and moving belts. Some of the scariest moments of my life have been me running/slapping the 6 feet between me and the emergency shut off behind the front desk as a toddler runs, slipping and sliding down the lane while their parents or guardians are laughing by the table because they thought it was cute. Even experienced pinsetter mechanics have been crushed to death during scheduled maintenance. Pinsetters are machines of convenience, entertainment, and death. Recreational drug use. With all the fentanyl going around now, the amount of inherent danger that comes with doing certain drugs has gone through the roof, and many people are not aware of this yet. Unfortunately, there have been many unintended overdoses because of this. I've been out of the game for almost 15 years, but can't imagine trusting any pressed pill nowadays from what I've heard. You don't trust. You buy test kits. Chemistry doesn't lie XD. Using a test kit is better than not using one. But there are still risks of unknown substances that the kit isn't designed to detect. Testing for fentanyl is a pretty safe bet. You'll at least not overdosed. I don't know of another drug that drugs can be laced with that's nearly as dangerous as fent. Walking up or down the stairs. The most common accident at home is falling down the stairs. And don't leave shoes or other things on the stairs. Yeah, you know they are there, but does your spouse or your child, will they see them when it's dark or they are in a hurry?